MLB owners are not guaranteed to make a profit every year. Let's just play some baseball already. And send. All right, this week we're looking at how the Knicks took yet another L without playing any games, why Kyrie the instigator is asking the right questions, and how the NFL is using its social media platforms to call for change. So let's see what's been trending in sports and get right into what you need to know. All right, in case you missed it, today we're starting with a headline that sounds more like a movie than real life, but bear with me here. The UFC has officially moved forward with its plans to utilize a fight island in Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. According to reports, 24 contestants from different districts across the world will be placed on the island to fight for the peace of their nation. Only one will survive. Some fighters may be volunteering as tributes. Some may form alliances. Some may even start a rebellion. I may be describing the Hunger Games, but are we sure the UFC is all that different? Because you believe me for half of that. Next, Alex Cora wants all the smoke with the Astros, saying, quote, "If there is one thing I am absolutely sure of, it is that it was not a two-man show. We all did it. And let me be very clear, I am not denying my responsibility because we were all responsible." I think it would have been foolish for anyone to believe that Alex Cora was the Emperor Palpatine level sole mastermind behind this whole thing. I mean, he clearly had help. But more than anything, I just wanted this to serve as a reminder that the Astros are cheaters, and we aren't letting them off the hook anytime soon. If we ever get baseball back this decade, we need the Astros Shame Tour to be as strong as it was planned to be, because we still remember. Moving on, CrossFit CEO Greg Glassman has stepped down after being the latest white asshole in power to be physically incapable of not being racist publicly. First, he thought it would be funny to reply to a tweet about racism and discrimination with Floyd 19, because that was ever going to go well. Then he managed to follow that up by telling employees on an internal company call that, quote, "I doubt very much that the protesters are mourning Floyd. I don't think there's a general mourning for Floyd in any community." What rock are you living under, dude? Where have you been? Within days, gyms across the country had disaffiliated with the CrossFit brand, and even Reebok stepped away as the #1 sponsor. This was an even bigger misread than the Blazers taking Sam Bowie in the 1984 draft ahead of Michael Jordan. You, sir, have no place in the sports community. Sayonara. And hey, speaking of people who need to step down, let's talk about James Dolan and the New York Knicks. During this tough time, organizations across sports have been issuing statements. Well, most organizations, that is. As of one point last week, there were only 5 major sports teams who had not issued public statements, 3 of which were in New York. Many people attributed this to the close relationship between these teams and the NYPD, but that was not the case for one team in particular. To clarify why MSG and the Knicks were not speaking out, James Dolan sent this internal message saying, quote, "As companies in the business of sports and entertainment, we are not any more qualified than anyone else to offer our opinions on social matters." Yikes. Hey, remember when Richard Jefferson made a joke about retiring because the Knicks were the only team that offered him a contract? The Knicks decided that one was worth a statement the next day. Or what about the time that Spike Lee went on First Take to talk about getting harassed by James Dolan? The Knicks PR team had a full statement with pictures by noon the next day after that one. So here's the thing. Sports and entertainment franchises should be qualified to offer their opinion on these matters, especially when you have a team full of players who have to live with these experiences and do have opinions on this that you could be relying upon to lead the conversation. Instead, you are choosing to send an internal memo that is the equivalent of telling your players to shut up and dribble. And if you think that is how a sports organization should be run, then you should not be owning an NBA franchise. Finally, the Knicks were peer pressured into releasing a statement, and it's almost not worth your time reading it. Apparently, employees at MSG were upset with the response and lack thereof, and rightfully so. I can feel the pain of the social media manager hitting send on this, knowing damn well they're about to get roasted for the next couple days because they know it's not what they would have wanted. I know a lot of people outside of the organization were offended by this lack of action as well, but with how much crap Knicks fans have had to go through and stayed loyal through it all, I don't know if this is going to change much. What I do know is that the people across the bridge, the Nets fans, are loving every bit of this. Okay, it's time to play some games. It's retweet or delete. To start, I am deleting NASCAR driver and professional loser Ray Ciccarelli, though I am certainly not the first one to do so. In what was honestly a pretty shocking move, NASCAR decided to ban Confederate flags from all of its races. You know, something that shouldn't be all that damn controversial at this point. But somehow in the year 2020, people still don't understand that it's not cool to support the side that lost the Civil War fighting to keep slaves. Naturally, one of the drivers was bound to speak out against this, but unfortunately for the racist community, it was Ray Ciccarelli who announced he would be retiring from the sport as a result of NASCAR's decision and just other things that make racists mad, I guess. Honestly, you know who I feel bad for here? The other drivers, because now somebody else is gonna have to come in last every damn race. I too will be retiring from NASCAR without winning a single race. But hey, like Aaron West said, you honestly gotta respect Ray Ciccarelli for making his entire racing career an ode to the Confederacy by staunchly refusing to win ever. Get this guy out of here. This is a massive delete. Sayonara round 2. Next, I am deleting hypocrisy. Earlier I talked about disliking the Astros for their cheating scandal, and you know who else disliked the Astros and talked about it plenty? New York Yankees. And now it's their turn to get a taste of their own medicine. A judge ordered a 2017 MLB letter to the Yankees, allegedly documenting the cover-up of a sign-stealing scandal, to be unsealed, and Twitter was loving it. Within a few hours, the Twitter detectives had already formed a Yankees asterisk account and uncovered every hypocritical statement or odd movement that the Yankees had made ever. And naturally, the Astros players were also quick to jump on social media and get their swings in. McCullers and Reddick went the route of shocked gifs. Bregman tweeted a meme before he deleted it, and if you're gonna do it, man, stick to it. And Correa was the big winner of the day with the witty comment, replying, "Wait, what?" What makes that great is it was the exact response that Aaron Judge had to the Astros news way back when. Good for you for the wittiness, Correa. But at the same time, I will also say, Astros, you cheated. I don't really feel all that bad for you, especially with the way you came out. The Yankees report doesn't negate the fact that you also cheated. That doesn't go away. And to be fair, without all the details here, there's a lot of conflicting reports on what that letter actually says. Some reporters have already come out and said there's nothing in there. The Yankees were found to be innocent, but they wanted it sealed because they didn't want to have these discussions. Other reporters have said this is damning evidence and there's going to be a lot that comes out with the Yankees and other teams. But at the end of the day, I will say I think this cheating issue is going to be far greater than what we currently know, kind of like what the steroid era was. The issue is that technology ultimately outpaced the tradition of the game, and regulations weren't strict enough to keep teams from experimenting with these new technologies. I'd be absolutely shocked if every team wasn't at least somewhat involved in some type of technology scandal. What makes this a bad look, though, is that more details keep getting leaked over and over and over again, so now conspiracies are coming out rather than one report teaching us and educating us on what had gone wrong. This isn't a great look for baseball, much like the rest of what's going on right now, but I will say it does make for some good Twitter banter. Alright, last one here. I am retweeting quarantine workout plans because my man Nikola Jokic looked like he escaped from the stomach of whoever had eaten him. I mean, look at this transformation. He looks like a completely different guy. I don't know if he called Kevin Love and asked for his workout plan, or if he started following all these new yoga gurus that are appearing in everyone's timelines. But whatever he did, it's working. Jokic isn't the only one to have transformed over quarantine either. A few weeks ago, photos appeared of a skinny James Harden looking like he's still dropping 35 of something a night. And we also have legend Ray Allen who's losing something, but it's not LB's. In all seriousness, as long as this wasn't some Netflix binge turned to no eating for 2 months, this is a pretty impressive body transformation that shows these guys have clearly been putting in the work during quarantine. I'm fascinated to see how this is going to change their game, or maybe not. I think this is going to be really cool to see how it affects how they play. Okay, time to get into the Explore page and look at the big stories in sports. Today we're talking about baseball and basketball, starting with MLB. Jeff Passan pretty much sums up the mood of everyone who's been following this baseball story. It's been an exhausting back and forth with the players clearly stipulating their requests and the owners coming back with what is essentially the same offer over and over and over again, just shaped in a slightly different way. This is an extremely toxic relationship that clearly isn't getting better anytime soon. These two sides do not like each other, and it is not a good sign for baseball. Now on to the return of the NBA, or maybe not. Over the past few weeks, the league has been all but confirmed to come back, but apparently it has hit a Malik Monk style speed bump. Quick side note, how did Malik Monk get suspended for drug issues, then reinstated without anybody knowing? But back to the NBA, there are allegedly quite a few players who are concerned with the details surrounding the players coming back. And these concerns aren't limited to any one of the 50 bajillion things going on in the world right now, but the ability for players to have an impact on social change right now is something that is clearly significantly weighing on their minds. Plenty of players feel like George Hill in this statement. Their argument is that what is happening in the world is greater than sports, and not playing could send a big message to everybody in the world right now who would be watching basketball. That includes Melo, allegedly. So after all this time of everybody trying to get him back in the league, he finally gets his chance, he's looking like Melo, and now he's back out. But honestly, more than anything, that should show how much this is weighing on the players right now. Or maybe some of these details are being miscommunicated because Donovan Mitchell clearly wasn't too happy with how this was reported. At the same time, players like Kuzma and Jared Dudley have both communicated that they do want to play and they do miss the game. Austin Rivers and LeBron are both arguing that this opportunity would give them a platform to have all eyes on them to make their statement and use that as a chance for change. So how did we get to this point of confusion after so much clarity just a few days ago? Enter the instigator himself, Kyrie Irving. According to Howard Beck, Kyrie has been the driving force against the return of the NBA. But a lot of people, including myself, actually see his point in being hesitant and asking these questions. If there was ever a time to make a statement, now would be the time to do it with all eyes on the league returning. I think if we look at this, we can honestly already see the conversation easing up. And selfishly, I think a lot of people just want to watch the games right now so we can forget about the real problems going on in the world. And that's exactly what we're trying to prevent from happening. I want sports to return as much as anybody, but I do think it's important that we're at least asking these questions and seeing what the different possibilities and outcomes are. Here's where he misses me though. What do we think is fishy, Kyrie? I know I'm not privy to all the details of the return to the NBA, but what kind of conspiracy do you think this is? According to people who spent a lot of time around Kyrie, apparently he's a super thoughtful and intelligent guy. But given his track record at this point, it's pretty clear he's just a terrible communicator. His cryptic messages make for easy headlines and confusion for all those around him, so we continuously find ourselves in the same place over and over again. I'm all for him asking questions, and that should be his role in the NBA Players Association. But maybe from now on, we should get ourselves a Kyrie translator. Yeah, something here is fishy. Okay, this is going to require some more conversation on our end to get our voices together to see how we can be the most impactful with our change.
Yeah, I'll stay if you'll have me.
Yeah, I'm going to rip this team apart until you will no longer want to have me in the city.
The earth is flat.
I'm going to start saying things to see how you guys react before I decide what I believe in. At the end of the day, I'd be shocked if the majority of the league didn't come back, but I will also say there will probably be at least one major name who chooses to sit out. If I were a player in the situation, which I know is obviously very easy for me to say on the outside, I think I'd probably go with LeBron's side here and use the moment to make a change while everybody's watching. But I do think Kyrie is right to ask these questions. I don't think that's a bad thing. This whole thing is very tricky, but it's good to know that the real reason Kyrie is doing this is so he can serve as KD's real-life burner account. Okay, closing out today, we're playing it forward by looking at how athletes and teams are using their voices to make change. Specifically, today I want to focus on the NFL and its social media platforms and how those are driving change through video. I'll include links to these in the description because they're all pretty powerful and very moving, and you should give them a watch. I want to start with the Saints, who put names to faces by creating an emotional video connecting those who have been killed unjustly to photos about them. The Packers relied on the emotions of their players, and you can see that a lot of them are choked up as they're delivering the message that they want to relay. It's time for change, and the Packers players were the ones driving that conversation. The Broncos followed suit by showing their players leading peaceful protests in their community and showing that they can make a change by being there with the Denver Bronco family. The rest of the league has honestly done a good job as well, showing that their players care about these issues and are helping lead conversations. But perhaps my favorite story of all of this actually came from the NFL account itself. The league's biggest stars, including Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, OBJ, DeAndre Hopkins, and more, sent a message to the commissioner asking to be heard and asking for him to listen to their requests. And listen he did. Roger Goodell made a video in response, promising the players that he will listen moving forward and apologizing for not doing so in the past. The best part of this video, though, is how it came to be. An NFL media employee sent direct messages to the players with this idea, knowing it could get him fired, but it ended up paying off in the end with the players immediately responding and deciding to get together to make this. We'll see whether this is all performative or whether there will be real change moving forward. But hopefully this mystery team that Pete Carroll is talking about will come through and sign Kaepernick as their backup. I mean, Minnesota, this could be a good time for you to do so. Doesn't hurt to have a backup. That was Play It Forward. This was Bookmarked. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Stay using your voice. Let's make a difference. Don't let this go away anytime soon. Come together and keep bookmarking. Speaks for itself.